The Nintendo 3DS and the PlayStation Vita, both amazing handhelds, but which one is the best? I'll be comparing both systems and see which system is better in which category. The first thing we can observe, it's a very simple but important category, and this is the actual design of these two systems. I also need to point out that I only own a 3DS XL in red and a PlayStation Vita 1000 model, the OLED model. But I will mention the other models in my video as well, and their advantages and disadvantages, don't worry guys. Anyways, let's swing to my 3DS. The 3DS has a flip phone, clamshell design, what I really love. I love this design so much guys. Not only does the design have practical advantages like portability, hey, it fits in my pocket, not even phones do that nowadays, but it also protects my button, screen and my analog stick while closed. What it's pretty cool. Obviously, if you own the very first 2DS model, not a new 2DS XL model, the portability is out of the question. I also honestly don't like the design of the very first 2DS model, but hey, everyone they own, right? Now let's swing to my PlayStation Vita and see its design. The PlayStation Vita in my opinion has a very simple but elegant and majestic design. I love the 1000 original model over the 2000 model because it feels so much more premium. With these metallic elements and premium design and it's more heavy. The 2000 model feels more like plasticish, cheaper. It's hard to describe guys. One of the disadvantages of both the Vita 1000 model and 2000 model, it's the open design without the clamshell design like the 3DS has. What means that all of your parts like the screen, analog sticks and buttons are unprotected. I highly recommend using a carrying case for your PlayStation Vita. However, one of the advantages of the PlayStation Vita is that the PlayStation Vita has two analog sticks, while the 3DS has only one. However, there is a 3DS model that does have two analog sticks, the new 3DS model, called New 3DS. Wow Nintendo, how much did you pay your employees to come up with these naming ideas? New 3DS model, New 3DS. Wow! Your new Nintendo Switch should be called New Nintendo Switch. Where's my $10,000 paycheck? Thank you! Sadly, the second stick is rarely used, only 27 games are compatible with the second stick. There is a rare 3DS accessory called the Circle Pad Pro, what adds a second analog stick to your standard 3DS or 3DS XL model. However, I don't have that accessory. Maybe one day I will get it, but because of the lack of games supported, I don't feel like I need it. But it's probably a very cool collectible item. So yeah, Nintendo did add a second analog stick afterwards, but the lack of games supporting it makes it pretty much useless and pointless. And because of that reason, the PlayStation Vita has a clear advantage when it comes to the analog sticks. Now let's discuss the screens. The PlayStation Vita has two models, one 1000 model and one 2000 model. The 1000 model has a OLED screen, while the 2000 model has a cheaper LCD screen. In my opinion, the OLED screen, the OLED screen, it's much better. I own the 1000 model with the OLED screen, and in my opinion, the OLED screen it's much better. Better brightness, true blacks, true whites, better screen, less ghosting. It's just a better screen, guys. Trust me. The 3DS has two normal cheaper LCD screens. Funny enough, Nintendo manufactured the 3DS with two different types of LCD screens. What? Yes, and the craziest part is that you don't know which screen you will actually get. It's all based on one thing: luck. Yes, luck. The 3DS top screen can be a TN style one or a IPS one. The screen you actually want, it's a IPS one. IPS screens have multiple advantages over TN screens, like better contrast and viewing angles. I know, very confusing, but I hope you get it. Anyways, I would like to press some buttons and see how they feel on both systems. The 3DS has really clicky buttons. I really like those type of buttons. The D-pad it's also really good, I must say. However, I'm not a huge fan of the analog stick. It's hard to describe it. It feels like the analog stick is fighting against me. It feels like the analog stick wants to go back to its original position. What it's really annoying. The analog stick is more persistent than moms waiting for a line on Black Friday. These shoulder buttons L and R feel very nice. No complaining there. 10 out of 10. The select home and start button are very big and clicky. They feel very nice, I must say. My only critique is the power button. The power button in my opinion is too small and too flat. It's not that easy to press it. It feels very hard to press it, and yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the power button. It's fine, it's serviceable, but yeah. And overall, yeah, really good, really solid. Let's move on to the PlayStation Vita. The PlayStation Vita buttons also feel very nice, very clicky and satisfying to press, so both the PlayStation Vita and the Nintendo 3DS have nice clicky buttons, and because of that both systems deserve some brownie points. Let's see the analog sticks. The analog sticks feel okay-ish, it's hard to describe it. They feel cheaper than the 3DS one, but they also don't fight back like the 3DS one. One critique I will say is that the Vita analog sticks are way too small. I would have appreciated if they were just slightly bigger, just ever so slightly bigger. So both the 3DS and the PlayStation Vita didn't got the analog sticks right, in my opinion. At least the Vita has two of them. These shoulder buttons L and R feel very nice on the PlayStation Vita, very clicky, like on the 3DS, but they go way deeper when you press them. That's what she said. Overall, positively surprised by both systems. One thing I must say is that the PlayStation Vita's power button is slightly easier to press. The power button on the PlayStation Vita is much easier to press. I don't know if my camera can pick it up, but the PlayStation Vita's power button is slightly higher than the case metal frame itself. Let's move on to the next category. I would like to discuss the features and gimmicks of both systems. The Nintendo 3DS has one specific feature, if you couldn't tell by the name of the system. Yes, I am obviously referring to the infamous 2D effect. Yes guys, 2D graphics in your hands. Okay, I was joking, it's obviously the 3D feature. Nintendo advertised the 3DS to be the very first device to have a 3D effect without glasses. Seamless 3D effect technology. Nintendo achieved this effect by using a 3D effect called stereoscopic 3D. But what is stereoscopic 3D? Let me tell you. Most stereoscopic methods present a pair of two-dimensional images to the viewer. The left image is presented to be the left eye and the right image is presented to be the right eye. When viewed, the human brain perceives those two images as a single 3D view. If you want it in a nutshell version, you pretty much trick your brain. To activate this 3D effect, you have a 3D toggle, a 3D slider on your 3DS, a 3D slider. I don't like to slide it to 100%, I mostly use the 3D effect at around 50%. Now let's see the 3D effect. I just see the image split in two, that's because I cannot show it to you guys. Sadly, the 3DS 3D effect cannot be recorded on camera. It doesn't work. If you want to see the effect for your own self, you must see it in IRL, aka real life. But I can at least describe it to you guys. Do you know these 2D 3D game dioramas? You can buy custom made from sites like Etsy. I will show some of the video game dioramas to you on the screen right now, so that you get the idea, the gist of the 3D effect. Imagine it like this: when you activate the 3D effect, if you start pushing the 3D slider higher and higher, the layers will get deeper and deeper. Let's say your health bar is right in front of you, your character is slightly behind that health bar, and the background is really behind you. It's a really cool effect I really like. From my experience, the 3D effect works best in visual novel games or JRPGs, like SMT4, Ace Attorney, Fire Emblem, Zero Escape. In these games the 3D effect really shines. Most people don't like the 3D effect, but I love it. I don't use it always because it does drain more of the battery, cuts the resolution in half, and if you use it for too long, it can create headaches. It can be tiresome to your eyes. I love the effect, but it's more of a highlight I sometimes use, but still I appreciate the existence of this very cool feature. It's something you don't need in video games, but it's still a really cool feature you have never seen before. Let's now talk about the Vita, because the Vita also has a feature gimmick like the 3D effect on the 3DS. The Vita has a back touchscreen. I like how the back has the PlayStation square, cross, circle and triangle symbols all over it. It also indicates where the touchscreen sensor is located. The back touchscreen is used in games to create a more immersive experience. Sadly, not many games did use the back touchscreen. The Nintendo 3DS 3D effect was more widely spread compared to the back touchscreen of the PlayStation Vita. I still like the back touchscreen, make no mistake, and some games did use it brilliantly, and one of these games it's for sure Tearaway. Tearaway used the back touchscreen in such an amazing way. There are other games that also use the back touchscreen in such an amazing way. One of these games it's for sure Little Big Planet, Deviants, or Uncharted The Golden Abyss. And I also highly recommend these games, so yeah. In my opinion, both the PlayStation Vita and the Nintendo 3DS have really cool unique gimmicks features that cannot be emulated even on a high-end PC. I can buy the best PC ever and cannot emulate these experiences. I can emulate the games, but I cannot emulate the features and the feel by using these features. For that reason, I highly recommend getting one of these systems or both if you can afford it. And obviously pick up one of these systems or both if you think those features will make you appreciate gaming slightly more. Also, before we move on to the next category, I would like to mention the remote play feature of the PlayStation Vita. In my opinion, the remote play feature is better than the back touchscreen because it's more widely spread. Remote play allows you to connect your PlayStation Vita with your PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4 and play your console games remotely on your PlayStation Vita, but it's a pretty cool feature if you ask me. So yeah, let's move on to the next category, games. I will split this category into two subcategories, third party and first party support. The PlayStation Vita had a great third-party support at the very beginning of the generation. The catchphrase "it's at the very beginning of the generation." Sadly, how time moved on and the sales of the PlayStation Vita dropped, so did the third-party support. Games that were iconic on the PlayStation portable systems like Monster Hunter switched sides from the PSP to the Nintendo 3DS. Thankfully, the PlayStation Vita had some very great, very amazing first-party and third-party exclusives like Persona 4 Golden, Uncharted The Golden Abyss, Killzone Mercenary, Tearaway, Little Big Planet, Summer Night 6, Wipeout 2048, Freedom Wars, Gravity Rush, and Tales of Hearts R. I would say the PlayStation Vita had one of the more obscure, niche and unique libraries, and for someone like me who loves and adores Japanese games, this library it's just breathtaking. So yeah, first party great, third party lacking, especially the western first party and third party titles. Now let's see what the 3DS has to offer. On the 3DS side of things, I must say this system definitely got more love from both first party and third party developers. There are some iconic titles on this system like Mario, Zelda, Kid Icarus Uprising, Animal Crossing, Fire Emblem Awakening and Echoes of Valentia, Pokémon, Luigi's Mansion, Donkey Kong, Professor Layton and Super Smash Bros. Then we have some really amazing third-party support like Ace Attorney Trilogy and Ace Attorney 5 and 6 Monster Hunter games. Some of them are still exclusive and stuck on the 3DS. Dragon Quest games, Digimon, Resident Evil Revelations 1. What it's so weird because that game it's not on the PlayStation Vita, but the sequel game it's on the Vita. So weird. Then we also have Etrian Odyssey, Rune Factory, obviously the SMT games like SMT4 and SMT4 Apocalypse. The Nintendo 3DS has in my personal opinion a slightly better game selection, but it's also all subjective at the end of the day, so you are free to disagree if you want. I like some of the Vita games and the Vita it's a great system, but game-wise I would say the Nintendo 3DS has slightly more to offer unless you jailbreak your system. Homebrew-wise the Vita gets access to many fan-made ported games on the system, but we will get there very soon. I also must say I'm very impressed by these two systems so far. They aged like fine wine. What I'm also impressed with is that over 90% of you are not subscribed to my channel, so why not consider giving this my little virgin a subscribe, and let's move on to the next category, Homebrew. Homebrew is something most people don't consider, but it's still a very important topic to determine which system has the edge in what category. Let's first see emulation. The Nintendo 3DS has worse specifications on paper compared to the PlayStation Vita, so emulation on the Nintendo 3DS will be obviously worse. The 3DS can still emulate a lot of systems, all systems until PlayStation 1, unless we are talking about the new 3DS. The new 3DS can do a better job with emulation, especially on the PlayStation 1 front. The Vita on the other hand can emulate PlayStation 1 games easily, even Dreamcast and PSP. You can play any PSP and PlayStation 1 game, I think it's even natively and not emulation. For Dreamcast, yeah, it's a different story, but I mean, it's Dreamcast, guys. We cannot expect that much from a handheld from 2011. So yeah, when it comes to the emulation, I must give it to the PlayStation Vita. Also one thing I must point out, it's how sweet Game Boy is on the Nintendo 3DS. It's native and you can make your own Game Boy ROMs with icons aka symbols, it's really cool. You can make your own small cartridge symbols, icons on the Nintendo 3DS, it's really cool, guys. Once you homebrew your system, you can also install custom themes on your system. I choose for both systems the Persona 5 theme. I like Persona 5 and because I have a red 3DS XL, and because red fits so well with my black PlayStation Vita, why not? So I will give both systems a cookie for amazing custom themes within the homebrew community. Let's now see what fan-made game ports we have on both systems. On the 3DS we have fan-made game ports like Doom, but it's pretty sweet, and a nice Half-Life port. But honestly, the PlayStation Vita takes the cake here. The PlayStation Vita has so many great fan-made game ports on the system. For example, in one of my older videos I mentioned the Dead Space port on the PlayStation Vita, but there is so much more. Games like Quake 3, GTA, yes we have GTA on the PlayStation Vita, all 3 GTA games like GTA 3, GTA Vice City and GTA San Andreas. But the fun doesn't end here, we also have another Rockstar game port on the PlayStation Vita, and this is a hidden gem in my opinion. I'm obviously talking about Bully. So yeah, the PlayStation Vita is a clear winner in this category. I like both systems and both systems are amazing once you jailbreak them, but in my opinion the PlayStation Vita has a slight edge over the 3DS when it comes to this category. The next category I would like to discuss, it's the user interface aka UI of both systems. Both the 3DS and the PlayStation Vita have in my opinion an amazing UI. The biggest difference, if you couldn't tell, it's that the 3DS UI it's obviously stretched to 2 screens instead of 1. You navigate the UI by using the D-pad or your stylus pen, and I highly recommend buying a bigger pen for these touchscreen sensitive screens. You can buy them dirt cheap on AliExpress. Trust me on this one, you really don't want the included stylus. Overall the experience it's great. It's easy and fast, and you can even create your own custom folders and move icons around, it's really great, it really has this great customization. The internet browser it's alright. But if you have any phone what isn't from the early 2010s, I would highly recommend not using the 3DS browser whatsoever, but for its time truly was good and alright. And let's swing to my PlayStation Vita. The PlayStation Vita user interface is also very responsive, fast and reliable. The PlayStation Vita has a touchscreen sensitive screen like modern smartphones. The PlayStation Vita user interface also reminds me of smartphones. Sony was clearly going for a more modern smartphone look. The Vita came out right after smartphones became more popular and more widespread. The PlayStation Vita user interface also allows you to take screenshots and even videos. The Vita also has a pretty good web browser. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it's slightly above the 3DS, so yeah, it's pretty decent for its time at least. But although both systems have a pretty decent web browser for their time, I must say for today's standards they are really subpar. I would recommend using your phone for web browsing, but hey, everyone their own, right? Overall, the PlayStation Vita has an excellent user interface like the 3DS does, so I will say both systems did an excellent job when it comes to the user interface. Next category I would like to discuss, it's the battery life of both systems. First, let's discuss the different models, because for example, the PlayStation Vita 2000 model has a better battery life than the 1000 model. I own the 1000 model with the OLED screen and better build quality, but it also has less battery life. I usually don't care about the battery life because I always have a power bank with me. But for people who do care, here are the numbers. The PlayStation Vita 1000 model has a battery life of between 3 to 5 hours, while the PlayStation Vita 2000 model has a battery life of between 4 to 7 hours. Usually you don't see 5 hours from the original model and hardly 7 hours from the new 2000 model. Usually it's something in between the lowest number and the biggest one. I would say the Vita 2000 model has around 1 hour more battery life. So yeah, it's pretty useful, especially if you don't have a power bank. Now let's see the Nintendo 3DS models. There are actually way too many models, so I will show you a graph how much each model can run 3DS software and how much each model can run DS software. Usually 3DS software runs between 3 and 6 hours depending on the model, and the DS software runs between 6 and 9 hours depending on the model. And the obvious and clear winner in this category, it's the new Nintendo 3DS XL with 3.5 to 7 hours playtime for 3DS software and whopping 7 to 12 hours for old DS software. I think if we compare the PlayStation Vita and the Nintendo 3DS with new software, so let's say Vita software for the PlayStation Vita and 3DS software for the Nintendo 3DS, if we compare it like that, the difference is really small. So yeah, the 3DS however does have a small edge, but it's really small, maybe half an hour or maybe 1 hour max, but when I say max I mean max, so yeah, it's around half an hour and an hour. If that makes any difference to you, I still recommend buying a power bank. Also keep in mind that the PlayStation Vita runs more graphically demanding games like Uncharted The Golden Abyss, Killzone Mercenary, Persona 4 Golden and many more games. So yeah, obviously with more graphically demanding games and better hardware specifications, the system will draw more power. So if you want to take both systems with you on a long trip, I highly recommend getting a power bank. And guys, it's 2023, everyone should have a power bank at this point. I should finish this video, so let's finish it with the final category for this video, the price category. So let's jump to the price category. I will split this category into multiple mini subcategories like price at launch, price right now in the second video game market for handheld systems, and prices for used video games. First, let's see the launch price of both systems in 2011. The 3DS came out in February 26, 2011 in Japan, and the price for that system was 25,000 yen. Slightly later, in March 27, 2011, the 3DS released in North America for a price of $249.99, so $250. Now let's see how much the PlayStation Vita cost at release. In December 17, 2011 in Japan, the PlayStation Vita had a price tag of 24,980 yen. In North America, the PlayStation Vita released in February 15, 2012 and the price tag was $249.99, so $250. So both systems, the PlayStation Vita and the Nintendo 3DS, released at the same price tag, at least at launch. The 3DS however did had a huge price cut couple of weeks after release, will definitely help the sale numbers. Now let's discuss the topic most people will find more beneficial, at least the people who didn't buy the system at release. I'm obviously referring to the current second-hand used video game system market. My 3DS XL in red in amazing condition you can see right here costed me €95 used on eBay. Here you have a screenshot. Obviously it's region based. If you live in America or Japan, the price will most likely be more expensive or cheaper, depending on the location where you live. Usually from my experience, the most cheapest games and used systems are in Japan. So if you want to cheap out, you will most likely go the Japanese route. Also obviously make your research when it comes to the region locks. For example, Japanese 3DS systems can only play Japanese games unless you jailbreak aka homebrew your system, while the PlayStation Vita it's region free, so you can run any game from any system from any region. Obviously because the Vita it's region free, this is another huge W for the Vita. Now let's see how much I paid for my Vita. I paid €99 for my Vita. Here you have the screenshot. I also got a carrying case with my system. Both systems came with a 4GB memory card. One of the disadvantages of the PlayStation Vita are the proprietary memory cards, so you will most likely spend more money on memory cards compared to the 3DS, unless you jailbreak homebrew your system, like I did. How you can see here, I have a 128GB memory card installed on my PlayStation Vita, and it's so convenient, it's so easy to use. So yeah, I would say if you want a 3DS XL model like I have, you will most likely pay a similar price compared to the PlayStation Vita. But if you want a new 3DS XL model, the better one, you will pay more than you would for a PlayStation Vita 1000 model or even 2000 model, so yeah. Also my Vita had some scratches, it isn't in the best condition, it's fine, while my 3DS XL in red came almost as new. So yeah, I wanted to mention it. Also there are cheaper 3DS models like the very first 2DS and 3DS models. If you are concerned, maybe go for a launch model 3DS or 2DS. Overall, I would say both systems, the PlayStation Vita and the Nintendo 3DS, are neck and neck when it comes to the prices. Now for the used video games. I will use price charting for this one. I know price charting isn't always 100% accurate, but it's the fastest way to determine an average price tag for used video games. So please take these numbers with a small grain of salt. Okay, let's see the Vita prices. Okay, Vita game prices go for around $50 average if we calculate all the cheapest shuffleware games and the most expensive ones. Now let's see the 3DS. 3DS games average for around $25, so it's clear as day that the PlayStation Vita has the more expensive game library, at least for physical games, what makes totally sense if you consider that the Vita didn't sold so well, so there are less physical games floating around to be purchased. The Vita is a rare system, even today, and especially the games for the system are very rare. Even the ones who did sold pretty well are not comparable to the 3DS game sale numbers. So game price wise, if you want to own physical games, the Nintendo 3DS is a clear winner in this category. Now we have come to the final part of this video, which is the best out of these two, and the system who takes the number one spot is... both. I take both, thank you. Yes, both systems. What did you expect? Me go full console warrior, console war. That's not me. That's not what I stand for. I think both systems are great and amazing, and both systems have their pros and cons. And if you can afford buy both systems, buy them both. But if you can only afford one system, well, if you follow this video thus far, you have probably seen all the advantages and disadvantages of both systems. I will show the advantages and disadvantages right now on the screen, if you have forgotten. The question is, what system satisfies your needs the most? It's the Nintendo 3DS or the PlayStation Vita? I sadly cannot answer that question for you, but I hope this video helped you out make a decision. If you have any more questions about both systems and you didn't find the answers in this video, feel free to ask me directly underneath the comment section. I will be reading all of your comments, and with this out of the way, I wish you all a wonderful day. Sayonara my good old PlayStation Vita and Nintendo 3DS friends. Ciao, 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 and ciao.